Nobody's going to see this on August 1st, but happy August 2021. Back to Jasper National Park, and I'm in the middle of a small parking lot here, which might be the most remote parking spot and trailhead in all of Jasper just to get to the trailhead. Geraldine Lakes is basically, the trailhead is right close to the Athabasca Falls. So once you get to the Athabasca Falls, you keep going towards like Wabasso Campground on 93A. You'll find the trailhead for that. This morning we actually had to go around a few people that were whitewater rafting. So you go on that road and you keep going south. There's also the Fried Valley Trail access is there, kind of in the middle. And then if you keep going, you're gonna hit the road and it has a bunch of switchbacks. Definitely recommend if you're coming up this trail to have a vehicle that has good clearance. Even in the parking lot here, I see a couple pickup trucks and there's a few small crossover SUVs here. We have our Jeep at the back and didn't have an issue at all. I didn't even bother putting it in four-wheel drive. That's how easily we got up here. We're basically going to Geraldine Lakes. It's a 12-kilometer hike, 6 to 8 hours. Elevation gain is about 500 meters. So it's like a sandwich between the steep slopes of Mount Fright and Whirlpool Peak. The Geraldine Lakes offer hiking option ranging from a 1-hour walk to a full day or more of rock hopping, scrambling, and exploration. So it's kind of like a scramble. It's a little bit like Hoodoo Creek in the spot where you're kind of like going around. We'll be heading out to the main trail. We'll be filming all the stuff along the way, and I have a feeling that this might be one of my favorite trails in all of Jasper, just by the looks of it and all the things that are in this trail. So I think it's going to be fun to do. All right, so let's hit the road. So the first half kilometer of this trail is kind of nice and easy and open, and then you can tell that about to 500 meters in, then it starts to escalate in elevation. So you have to go up like 1 kilometer and you kind of get to like a little peak. But when you get to that second 500 meter step here, you're going to notice there's these 5 little switchbacks. It's quite interesting because you can tell the water comes down here in the spring and creates all sorts of crazy erosion. So there's like holes and big steps and roots, and you can see behind me here where this isn't part of the trail. It's obviously one of the routes that the water comes down in the spring. It doesn't necessarily follow the trail, but when it does, it creates these big ruts and stuff here. You can see a lot of evidence of this used to be a very well maintained trail, and I think that eventually Parks Canada just kind of gave up fixing all of these little bridges and little walkway steps all along this trail, which I don't blame them. It's a very remote one, but there's still a lot of good remnants here. As you can see, the trail very nice on these muddy parts where they've put a lot of pieces of wood running across. Actually pretty interesting trail so far. But see here, we keep finding a lot of these all over the place. And I don't know if the geography's changed, or maybe this trail was used for something else and now that's changed. Maybe it was used for horses and now it's not anymore. So right around the 1 kilometer mark, you've actually surpassed the first elevation rise. So there's basically 3 big elevation rises in this trail. And the first one kind of ends at the 1 kilometer mark, and you're still in the forest like what we're in now, but it's very flat here. You're only about 700 meters away from the first lake, but it's kind of nice to have a nice little break in between the sessions of going up and down. Also Saskatoon berries all over the place here. I'm pretty sure these are Saskatoon berries. There's 2 different types. There's the little red ones, but there's the dark purple ones where I'm 90% convinced that they're Saskatoon berries. They look like blueberries, but they're not. I would love to eat one and try one, but that's one thing I've learned from the scouts is that if you don't know what it is, don't eat it. It might not kill you, but you might regret that action. And actually see right around here, it's at the 1.2 kilometer mark. We're actually starting to go back down, headed back down towards the lake. Meters or so. And now we've come across our first sighting of these gorgeous little creek. I think it's probably called Geraldine Creek is my guess. And then the first lake is just up this little creek here. And just recently for another expedition, I purchased a water filtration system. So now I've been telling my girls, just drink as much water as you want. Also a good idea to have on the trail, because now if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're 10 kilometers away from your vehicle, you find a good water source like this, you can use it to just replenish your bottles and everything like that. So, yeah. And you follow this little creek along the side, and kind of have to be careful watching your step here. The first Geraldine Lake, and hopefully not the last. This water is crystal clear. It's like pristine. The second lake is basically at the other end over there, is my guess. And that's all we gotta do is go up and down, and you can see where that would pool water from the top of that mountain over there all the way down. So this is a place that you could stop and rest and take a sandwich break if you wanted to, or I think we're gonna just keep going and see what ventures further out. So you got a good 1 kilometer just to get by the first Geraldine Lake, which you actually travel on the west side of the lake, and it kind of veers in and out, in and out. As you can see, you have a kind of a nice view of the lake, but you have to be careful here. This portion of the trail is extremely slow. This is another little bit of how challenging the trail alongside the first Geraldine Lake can be. You got this stuff here all over. This is just an example from the side of the lake here. The trail becomes more of a bouldering expedition. So you kind of want to find a chunk of dirt to step on, but it's almost impossible because everything, you kind of have to just step around all the boulders and the rocks. And this is what the trail kind of looks like at the other end. So now we've passed the first lake and the trail becomes super rocky, and now we're slowly working our way up to the waterfall. So we've done a full just over 3 kilometers here total. Pretty little view down this creek. A few little waterfalls at the back. So as you guys can see the trail here, there's a lot of these little bouldering spots, and I think this is going to be the ongoing theme for the next little bit of this trail. Of just rocks after rocks after rocks after rocks. trail, you'll find a little shortcut that kind of leads in here, so you guys can actually see the top of these little waterfalls slash rapids here. So we are pretty much bang on 4 kilometers up the trail here. We hit this nice little open portion here, where also, word of advice, if you have a dog, it's probably not the best hike for a dog, period, regardless, unless you're willing to carry the dog around. Our Oakley's having a hard time getting up and down, and this whole area, once you reach on top of the first set of rapids, like the little waterfall-y stuff past the first lake, it's all rocky boulders for the most part. So you're pretty... The rocky path here, it's easier for humans than dogs apparently. But you can see behind me how rocky that path is all the way out there. Yeah. There's a couple that was swimming in here, and this water is so clear. I can see clear as day all the way down to the bottom. It's insane. And this is the tiny little flat lake, and this one you actually have to go all the way on the other side. The trail kind of weaves in, because I think over there is where the creek comes in, and there's no way to easily get around on the other side. So if you follow the All Trails app, you'll see it, but it kind of pulls in more eastward to come across this little stream. The stream flows through the rocky area, and there's places where it goes underground and it comes back up, and it goes underground and comes back up because of the rocky terrain. So yeah, you can see back there, it turns into like a big marsh, and you could walk all the way there and then you're kind of stuck. You'd have to go through that little wooded area to get across, and it's probably wooded and steep. It's difficult to get to. Check out towards the waterfalls. Jasper.